Well, good morning, everybody. This is Carnal again, and I finally made it to making a morning video. Yay! Which is also a little bit of a coincidence because it's my birthday today, ladies and gents. So strap in because we're gonna talk about something that I was actually discussing with one of you on Twitter, and it's one of those historical things where uh, the Lotus Eaters is talking about this time period called the Hundred-Year War between Britain and France. And it's very interesting because we were talking, actually, what actually started to kick this off is the notion of Italian supremacy and an Italian cultural hegemony, and about how Italians are, in fact, not even low-key racist. Now, that's in jest because it's not that Italians are racist. It's just that we know that we're better than you. We don't really think less of you because of it. And it's just that overwhelming sentiment and mentality that most Italians have. And honestly, it's one of those, and it causes the Italians to be a little more open and honest than other people are comfortable with them being. And this is seen in like a few episodes of The Sopranos where, Tony Soprano is, out and out, being based because Italians. Now, and it's also known in football culture, the Italians take no shit and they give shit equally when it comes to race and culture and all of that wonderful pizzazz. Which led us to a discussion about why Italians are this way. And the reason Italians are this way is because, one, they know they are the descendants of the Roman Empire. And you won't convince them otherwise. This does, in fact, bequeath to them a superiority complex and status. True story. Now, the other reason is because Italians won the culture war in Europe. Yeah. In mainland, the Brits are their own monster. The British did their own thing. But in that time period where the British and the French and the Spanish were all having their knockdown dragouts, the Italians were conspicuously absent militarily during that time. And here's why. Well, first of all, we had the Pope. We had the papacy. We had the holy city of Rome established in our native town and in our native country, and that was a great boon, no doubt. However, consider these other factors when it comes to culture in the West and in Europe. Italians led and won pretty much every cultural advancement, whether it's art, whether it was music, whether it was architecture, and even cuisine. All of these things, if you compare it to anyone else, I mean, the French were unironically sloppy seconds when it came to all of those things. You have Michelangelo versus Monet. This is not difficult. So when it came to cuisine, yeah, everyone knows that French cuisine is essentially Italian cuisine, just failed in with the wrong ingredients. In fact, the cultural chasm in food in France and Italy is so divergent. The French chef actually thinks he's the star of the meal. The Italians, despite their great hubris, are under no such delusion. The food is the star, hands down. So, you have to understand that during this time when England, France, and Spain were all duking out, Italy was just sitting pretty most of the time. Now, this was after they had their own city-states prime up for war and be powerhouses in their own right. However, here's the real truth of the matter. France could have invaded Italy, but they didn't. And the reason why they didn't is because of two very important factors. Number one, They couldn't genocide the Italians and get away with it. Number two, if they tried to invade Italy, those who invaded it would become Italian and not French. And furthermore, anyone they exported from Italy to France would convert France to Italy. Culturally speaking, Italy would have conquered the French from within their own borders, and they would have done it faster than a decade. That is how innately superior the Italian culture is to the French, back at that time period when everyone was dicking with each other. And the French knew it. Now, you might say, well, Carnal, that's a load of crap. I'd like to see your evidence for this. Well, let's look at today, shall we? Both Italy and France have been beset with migrants, shall we say, and there have been cultural consequences for these migrants, and they are radically different because Italy and France are two very different places. In France, the Islamification has been tremendous. It has been so complete and awashed. Paris is no longer Paris. The streets of France are no longer what they remember France to be. It is un-French to be in these capital French cities. Compare that to Italy, who has no Islamification problem. There is no Islamification problem in Italy. In fact, there has been NGO pressures to force the Italians to assimilate and accept the Muslims, and they simply will not. They tried to say, you will host them in these hotels, and the mayors of these cities have said, fuck off, turn off the power, turn off the water, put them somewhere else. We don't fucking want them. If a boat were to capsize on the journey from northern Africa to Sicily, no one will cry. Absolutely no one. And you have to understand, Italy is in a demographic decline. Their birth rates are atrocious, and their population, their native population of people is aging. They're dying out. The Italians know this. They see it happening around them, and they're not stupid. Here's the thing, though. The Italians would rather commit self-suicide by slowly dwindling to nothing than be culturally invaded by Islam. They will not be conquered by Islam. And to the point where Islam isn't even a recognized state religion in Italy. They refuse to acknowledge them. And that is how you know that the Italians, way back when, the French, the English, and the Spanish were all duking it out. That's why the Italians stood pretty. They couldn't afford to be genocided, and anyone who would try to invade them would just join them in the end anyway. And that is the cultural supremacy of being an Italian. Well, it was my birthday, so I got to pick the topic, everyone. So, stay carnal and God bless.